Welcome to Between Over and Next with your hosts, Holli and Robert, a happily married couple who explore the space between what was, what is, and what's to come. From career changes to navigating life's uncertainties, this dynamic duo will empower you to live your happiest life at every age and stage. So, get ready because your journey with Holli and Robert starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Between Over and Next. Hi, Holli.
Hi, Robert. Today's episode is all about two words that you mention a lot in the episodes of Between Over and Next. Do you know what they are?
Two words. Chocolate, candy.
No.
Okay.
I know you read the notes. I know you just fooling around with me. The words that you say a lot are foresight and hindsight. We had to dedicate an episode to these two words because they are so connected to what we talk about on Between Over and Next.
That's very true. We talk about it in relation to life all the time.
A couple of episodes ago, we talked about the metaphorical concept of the traffic lights of life.
Which I liked a lot.
I did too. That was episode 43. And during that episode, we did talk about being at that traffic light and the thinking process of what was, what is, and what's to come.
Right.
And also in episode 3, we broke down the words Between Over and Next, and I continually am sparked with new ideas surrounding our podcast and its title and its purpose. And the words foresight and hindsight really work beautifully to talk about life. Because when people think of hindsight and foresight, our minds gravitate to experiences that involve reflection and anticipation.
Doesn't that apply to every experience? Anticipating it, experiencing it, and then reflecting it.
Yes, but when I think back to the traffic light episode, I think about the rearview mirror. When you look in the rearview mirror, what do you see?
Metaphorically, you see what happened in the past. That's where you came from, right? What you see behind you is where you just were.
So the rearview mirror is what hindsight teaches us. And we always like to weave throughout our episodes the lessons learned. And we ask ourselves and we ask our guests, if we knew then what we know now, would we have done anything differently? Is there anything we wish we knew earlier? And when you talk about hindsight, that's really where the lessons are learned.
Yes, and what I think a lot of people discount in the equation is you can gain more foresight from other people's hindsight.
I think that is so true. For this episode, I wanted to share some beautiful quotes throughout, and I also want to share some thought-provoking questions for you, the listener and viewer, to tap into while we're discussing this topic. So the quote I want to share is, "The beauty of hindsight is that it reveals the masterpiece that life has painted, brushstroke by brushstroke, with each decision. The rearview mirror of life are the things we wish we had known, the moments of clarity that only hindsight could bring, and how these reflections shift as we grow older."
Yes, but I think that the challenge becomes intergenerational. Maybe human nature is crafted that way, but I think when you're in a position to gain more insight into what's
so good.
next.
I love that, because actually the insight is between the hindsight and the foresight.
But the only way that you can learn is from people or experiences that have happened, or people in experiences, and relying on that. But I think when we're younger and can benefit most from that information is when we're most resistant to taking that in. And that's unfortunate. Like when you're younger, I don't think you've gained enough confidence to know that there are people in your world that can give you that information and help you as you move forward.
So we should lean on each other to learn from others.
Oh, sure. And be open to it. It's not just having it available because it's there. Are you open to taking that information in so that it can help you make decisions in the future?
Your past can equal the strength for your present. I want to talk about a few examples. We have them in our career choices. Ask yourself what job seemed like a detour but turned out to be your best move. And we discussed that in our last episode with Amy Wilkins.
Right.
She discussed a number of the pivots she had, but learned something at every turn. Something we talk about all the time are parenting decisions. How we disciplined or nurtured our kids and realized what really matters. Ask yourself, what do you wish you'd worried less about while raising kids?
I'm not sure of that answer right now, but I can assure you that over the coming weeks, months, and years, as our grandson grows, we have the opportunity now, in some respects, to either impart information on our children and how they raise their children, or to experience or re-experience things that we did or didn't do when we were raising Lindsay and Alex that we can now have with our grandson. I don't know if it's like making up for lost time, like stuff that we didn't do, because we don't really have a lot of regrets in terms of how we brought the kids up or what we did with them or
Actually,
what we didn't do with them.
I'm proud of what we've done.
Yeah.
I continue to be proud of what we're doing.
Yes, absolutely. I think how we chose to raise them and how we chose to be involved in their lives, I think we made really good choices all along the way.
But not every parent may feel that way. And I also feel that we have always been role models. So I believe that Lindsay and Elliot watch us and they're going to pick and choose what they want to emulate.
Yeah. And it may sound simple. Do you do what you say you do? Or do you just say you do it?
We were very intentional with everything that we did with our kids. There wasn't anything left up to
Chance.
Thank you. I love when Robert completes my sentences. And he does that a lot because we really do think about the same things, usually in harmony. A few other things to reflect on, perhaps your health and wellness journey. I am so inspired by the guests we have on our show, and it's so fresh in my mind, our interview with Amy, because she also talked about the signs of listening to your body.
Right.
So you need to ask yourself, what health advice would you go back and give to your 30-year-old self that would impact how you are 30 years later?
Yes. And I think that a lot of times people get stuck in what they didn't do and prevent them from doing anything else. Like they're stuck in that, well, I didn't do this. I should have. Listen, there are some things that you can make up for lost time. Some not so easy to do.
But there are plenty of people that have decided to change their habits. And when you talk about relationships, you got to continually revisit the lessons learned, whether it be from past friendships or romantic relationships. How does it shape your values and boundaries moving forward? Ask yourself, which relationships taught you the most about yourself, even if they didn't last? And I'm constantly thinking about that.
I don't think a lot of people do that.
Well, I'm encouraging people to do that.
Yes, self-evaluation is important and should be an ongoing thing. We've probably been guilty of it from time to time, is repeating the same things that don't work out. We're all entitled to make mistakes.
Well, we're all vulnerable and we're all human. And sometimes you can't control those things.
True, but you can avoid making the same bad decisions over and over.
And the same thing with financial decisions. Looking back on your spending or your saving habits, realizing your earlier choices are impacting your long-term security. Ask yourself, what would you do differently with your first paycheck? Well, guess what? I know I would have foresaved. That's something I would have done differently. I would have taken a portion of my paychecks and put them away.
I'm positive that many entrepreneurs lack in that area. And I have to say, in defense of the corporate world, they probably do a better job in forcing employees to save by setting up these savings incentive programs, matching dollars. I remember when I was at Bankers Trust Company, they had something crazy like a 2 or 3 to 1 match. For every dollar you put in, they put in $2 or $2.50.
So the lesson learned for entrepreneurs in order to thrive is to put away a percentage of your earnings each and every time.
I think, though, it's harder and harder now because we live in a society of opulence and spending. And you look at YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, and you see these young people who are making huge sums of money in the social space by doing the most ridiculous things and are just literally throwing money around and spending it on these fancy cars and things like that.
It doesn't matter what financial bracket you're in. Let's encourage people to save for the long term.
Yes.
Because before you know it, you're going to be 50, 60, 70, 80 years old.
Right. What I'm saying is the average 20 or 25-year-old doesn't need a Lamborghini. Even if you've come across that amount of money by chance in Bitcoin currency or whatever it is, you make a lot of money, go ahead and play a little bit. But you have to
Be realistic.
manage that and realistic, because you read so many people that have won millions of dollars in the lottery and then a few years later they're broke. And you wonder, like, gosh, how did that happen?
Yeah, that's a little mind-blowing. I think I'd be very savvy if I won the lottery.
My thing would be to do good for people.
Well,
you know.
You're a do-gooder. Let's talk about the power of foresight, embracing what lies ahead. Foresight is not about controlling the future. It's about shaping ourselves to meet it with grace. Plan without clinging to control, especially as we approach new seasons in life. Foresight is not about prediction, but about positioning ourselves for what might be. And foresight means seeing beyond the immediate, trusting that each change holds the potential to be transformative. It's a call to engage fully with whatever comes next and to trust our experience as our compass.
The experience guiding you, I think, is the key to all of this.
So what's ahead? Retirement planning for many, especially when they get to be in their 60s. Your lifestyle, your financial decisions are setting the stage for comfort, freedom, or purpose later in life.
Security.
Ask yourself, what would your 80-year-old self thank you for doing now?
I think anyone in their 80s, who's lucky enough to live in their 80s, would at least want to be able to know that they wouldn't be in need of anything, that medically they would be cared for, and on a daily basis they would be cared for. They would have a place to live, food to eat, and people to be with.
I applaud what you just said because it's so important as we are aging and watching our aging parents and how they're living their lives. So something we talk about all the time is about leaving a legacy and thinking about how your actions today, whether you're mentoring, creating, or sharing wisdom, as we do on Between Over and Next, might shape how people remember you. Ask yourself, what small actions now could create lasting impact in someone else's life?
Educating others, teaching others how to sustain themselves.
But also motivating others, inspiring others with positivity, with optimism, with hope, with peace, with love.
Yes, I think attitude in how you approach things is very important, but I think empowering youth is an obligation or
And a responsibility.
to at least try. May not always be received the way you want it to, but I think educating others is something we should strive to do. Not to tell others what to do, meaning bossing people around. I really mean empowering with information and knowledge.
Parenting grown children. Episode 4, we had a conversation with our kids, and we're going to continue to have conversations as they're exploring different ages and stages of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Our choices have affected and impacted who they are, who we are as parents, and how they're showing up, whether it be about independence or emotional support. Continue to ask yourself, what kind of parent do you hope to be to your children as they age? That is something we are very mindful about.
Yeah, because some parents check out at some point. They stop being parents. Yeah, I don't quite understand that because
Me neither.
parenting really is a lifelong thing. Kids don't know what it's like to be parents. They're just learning what it's like to be parents. And hopefully we'll demonstrate to them how to be grandparents with what we're doing. The teaching is by doing and living.
Continuing with the experiences of foresight, health planning, your diet, your exercise, your sleep. It is always about long-term health. Ask yourself, what one habit could you adopt today that the future you will be grateful for? I have said it many times on this podcast. I love that we have embraced the sport of pickleball together. That is something that we can hopefully do for many, many years together. And it feels good, mind, body, spirit, and soul. And importantly, with foresight is the giving part. Think about volunteer work, advocacy, social efforts that could influence the community in years to come. What seeds can you plant now that others will benefit from later? So in between hindsight and foresight is living right here, right now, in the present moment. Let it be a space where all your lessons gather to meet what you can become. That is something that I think more people need to focus on. To be present is where hindsight and foresight meet. And that will help shape our sense of peace and savor life in every way.
No, that's well put.
The reason we can definitely say that is based on our own experience and decades of life experiences. Being in the present moment is a gift. I will continue to talk about how grateful I am, and it grounds me. It grounds us to always have an attitude of gratitude. And presence is a treasure. It is something that empowers us to enjoy each and every moment. And I am enjoying this moment right now as we are recording this podcast. I appreciate the now.
We're lucky because we fill our days and nights doing things that we enjoy doing. We're lucky in that we're not living a life where we're doing things that don't fulfill us.
It's important to know what to hold on to and what to leave behind. Your heart has only so much room, So make sure it's filled with things that feed your soul. Take inventory of your lives. Ask, is this something I want to carry into the next chapter? That's where we learn and we grow and we are aligned with how we want our lives to be.
I find it interesting, and I see this all the time, when you meet someone who's in their 90s. They're usually pretty happy people.
Yeah.
Right? You don't meet a lot of miserable 95-year-olds. People who are in their 90s are generally happy.
Life is an ongoing story, and we need to encourage everybody at every age. It's a story that deepens, surprises, and evolves every step of the way. Embrace every single age that you are, because every decade is that new chapter.
Yeah, and don't lament the birthdays. No one should be sad that they're celebrating a birthday, and so many people are. We know people firsthand in our inner circles that dread having birthdays.
I don't get that, because I celebrate every day. And
what's the alternative?
You know how much I love celebrating everybody's birthday. But remember, you have dreams. It is never too late to pursue. Foresight is to learn new things, to take a class, to go back to school, to start a passion project at any time in your life. You've talked about learning to play the guitar over the years.
But you know what? My hands are so soft and my fingers have no calluses on them or anything like that.
You're actually...
Maybe I'll just go with listening to people play guitar.
Well, we love listening to music, and that is something you look for regularly.
String
as every
players
weekend comes.
will always have,
You have
calloused
gorgeous hands.
fingers.
But we are proof that we're never finished. We're just going to keep moving forward to the next exciting part of our story, and that's what we're going to encourage others to do. Age is just another factor that brings depth to your story. Remember, it's never too late to learn or grow or try something new, and you can redefine what's possible. And like you said earlier, teaching younger generations, that is something we want younger people to tune into Between Over Next. Please share this with your kids and your grandkids, because using lessons from hindsight to offer advice to younger generations is an opportunity to learn more about patience and resilience and adaptability and risk-taking, and at the same time respecting their need to create their own path. Here's some closing advice, tying it all together with a beautiful bow. Robert, what color bow do you want to wrap this up with?
Today I'd like it to be a green bow.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, green to me represents wealth. And I always say that the greatest wealth is your health. This is what I want to leave you to think about. Think of life as a dance, with one foot rooted in all you've learned and the other stepping forward into a new rhythm. Trust that the dance floor is big enough to welcome every age, every moment, and every part of you. Rewrite the narrative. Acknowledge past mistakes or regrets, which is hindsight, but reframe them as valuable lessons to fuel growth and better decision-making. See hindsight as a teacher, foresight as a motivator, and the present as the canvas for change. Use hindsight to appreciate the journey you've traveled, foresight to imagine what might be, and presence to live fully now. Because what we choose to carry forward and what we release, we use hindsight as a tool, foresight as a guide, and presence as a grounding force. Embrace your past, look forward with hope, fully engage in today. Hindsight reveals the lessons. Foresight offers the opportunities. The present moment is where you decide what wisdom you'll carry forward. I had so much joy researching this topic, thinking about this topic of what it'll mean to not only us, but to all of you.
It's always present in my mind, this topic. So, Holly, thank you for being my partner.
I love you,
In
Robert.
every way, I love you.
I look forward to exploring the lessons we've learned, and I look forward to what's ahead.
Me too, because there's a lot. So I hope you're all looking forward to what's ahead, and we appreciate you being with us here on Between Over and Next, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Between Over and Next. We hope you enjoyed this episode and found it meaningful and insightful.
If you value it to be worthwhile, please share it with your friends and family.
We would really appreciate it if you could take a moment to write a review for us. Your feedback will help us continue to create content that resonates with you.
And don't forget, in the show notes, you can find all the relevant links mentioned in this episode, from accessing free downloads to visiting our website and more.
If you have any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you. Simply send us an email. Our email address is hello@hollyandrobert.com. We're always excited to connect with our listeners.
So until next time, thank you again for joining us on Between Over and Next.
Thank you for listening to Between Over and Next, the podcast that navigates the twists and turns of life with courage, laughter, and a whole lot of inspiration. Tune in every Tuesday to hang out with Holli and Robert on your favorite podcast platform. Visit hollyandrobert.com and follow them on social media to ignite your passion and fuel your dreams.